A farmer drove over to his neighbor's house and knocked on the door. "I love my job," exclaimed the farmer. "All you do is boss me around all day," complained one of his sheep. "What did you say?" challenged the farmer. The sheep glared back and growled. "You heard me." This could be the start of a smutty novel with Howard as the main character. Amazing. I've actually never heard that before and it is really funny. Good one. He just needs to be a little more sheepish about it. Good old 245. However, thanks for posting. It still brings a good chuckle. Good old no 8,427. Ha. A mathematician comes home at 3:00 a.m. and gets an earful from his wife. "Ah, another math joke, it's about time." "Ah, another timeless classic." Genuine question: where in the world do people say 11:45 instead of 11:45? Whoever made this up ought to get clocked. Boohis bravo, tee-hee-hee-hee. This joke is way ahead of its time, probably just missed the milkman. I read this in Sheldon's voice, but the whole wife thing ruined that comparison. The English teacher yelled at her about your "Hess still late," despite the verbal gymnastics. This joke is right on time. Jokes like this get me all wound up. After months of scrimping and bargain hunting, a woman begged her husband for more money. "Can't you just give me an extra $10 so I can buy a roast?" Got the roast with extra stuffing. Clearly, the husband didn't realize the stakes were that should never let a butcher meet your wife. "I thought she was going to give him the mirror dinner." You can get a good look at your butcher by sticking your head up a bull's ass. A girl's gotta do. Guess it's a good thing she didn't need anything from the baker. There's a medieval Italian story a bit like that. It actually happened, but I'm not sure. A beggar used to hang around all day in front of a delicatessen, just for the delicious smell of cooking. The shopkeeper got tired of this and sued him for stealing the smells. When the judge heard this, he took out 2 coins and clinked them together, saying, "There's your payment." He even gave me a free sausage. Might as well move in with the butcher too. If the husband gives her the money, he gets to eat better. Why wouldn't he do that? Arabs don't ever serve us breakfast. I stayed in an Airbnb in Rockport, Maine, and the host put out a nice breakfast each morning. Hot muffins, coffee, juices. Don't give them get charged a breakfast fee and be required to buy eggs, bacon and make it yourself. They serve air. It's in the name. Someone watched the new Mike Birbiglia special on Netflix. Stayed in one in Raleigh, North Carolina. They were retired caterers Airbnb-ing their basement, had a bunch of dogs, cats, chickens and I believe a goat. They cooked us a full-fledged brunch the next head that since, but I typically book entire units anymore cause I like to have privacy anymore. But we'll never forget that spot. Class action be a rainmaker. I stayed at one in Nanaimo, BC that did. Only if you use it as an apartment. If you use it like rent a room, which was its real purpose, you can check if the host serves breakfast. An old man calls his son and says, "Listen, your mother and I are getting a divorce. 45 years of misery is enough." I love this joke. See it on here every year. Still funny. Take my upvote. Paragraphs can be your friend. Good old number 87. My turn to repost this next week. Op must not be American, nor am I, but missed a great opportunity to replace Christmas with Thanksgiving, to make it a unique joke. Nicely done. Now figure out how you can get them to pay for Christmas dinner while you're at it. Saying airfares instead of plane tickets shows commitment. Lol. Here, an upvote. Posted for the 20,000th time. Should have said Thanksgiving, make it timely. Close the damn quotation marks, will ya? Repost for the umpteenth time. A joke for some, but if you have boomer parents, it may be reality. 2 hunters are lost in the woods. I heard this one a while ago but still makes me chuckle. Those guys are so dumb. They can just pick the arrows back up when they land. Lamau. 2 hunters are out in the woods when one of them collapses. He's not breathing and his eyes are glazed. So his friend calls 911. "My friend is dead, what should I do?" The operator replies, "Calm down, sir. I can help. First make sure that he's dead." There's a silence, then a loud bang. Back on the phone, the guy says, "Okay. Now what?" 2 hikers are walking in the forest when they see an angry grizzly approaching them. One of them starts to quickly tighten his shoelaces. "You moron," says one of them. "You can't outrun a grizzly." "I don't have to outrun the grizzly," says the other. "I just have to outrun you." Spoiled kids, what was your reality checks? Father died and gave his inheritance to his 25-year-old GF. When I mistreated someone I cared about and they actually followed through with cutting me out of their life. My mom got seriously ill in cancer and ended up in the ICU for 5 months. I had to get my shit together real quick now that she couldn't fix my messes anymore. Joining the workforce. Very first day of my first job I was like, oh shit, this is what everyone was complaining about. When my father died, I suddenly went into protective mode for my mother and younger siblings. My mom had always been a shaman, although we had an amazing support system from her family. Emotionally I was not equipped for such a loss. My younger brother also switched majors, quit partying and cutting class and started a very successful business. The sense of responsibility was overwhelming. Having kids is so common that we don't think about how crazy it is. The craziest thing is that they let you leave the hospital with your newborn. Like, you're trusting me with this? Quite intimidating. Honey, I think it's time I grow a whole extra set of bones, eyeballs and organs inside of my body. Oh my god, we're going to be so happy. Your sister will be jealous. Yeah, you slap your genes together and then the resulting cell divides and later a whole fucking human comes out of someone's literal s. Insane. Having kids is so expected that you are considered weird if you don't want them. And what's the deal with airline peanuts? Ripping a soul out of the darkness and thrusting it into the light. Love you gesture. I thought about how crazy it is and elected not to have any. I think about it quite often, actually. That's why I don't have any. How about eating? You ever think about that? Step through it in your mind. Be the food. I was working in an ice cream shop and we ran out of vanilla ice cream. Which letter is the M in amazing? The second. And which letter is the F in vanilla? There is no F in vanilla. That's exactly what I've been trying to say. At least, that's the British version. Got any nails? Good old-fashioned 693. Can I just lick the tray? Love that one. Mine's similar. How many F's in money? I was asked. I gave the correct answer. There's no F in money. Joke ruined. They ran out of chocolate. Then it's can you spell the van in vanilla ice cream in the straw in strawberry ice cream? Supposed to told with a can of peas in a grocery store. Is your refrigerator running? What if my toilet is? The instructions on my new refrigerator says stand upright for 12 hours before using. I'm still standing but I'm desperate to sit down for a rest. I haven't even refrigerated. I can't even think about doing it again. Nah. The refrigerator is alright, but the freezer's cooler. This made me lol. You can tell what political party it is by the footprints in the butter. No, but my nose is running so it's cold enough in here. I'm sure voting for a fridge or a toilet would be preferable to voting for Trump or any of the fools in the UK government. Better go catch it. Are you ran out of toilet papers? If yes, call 911. Go catch it. People who don't lock their doors at night feel safer than people who do lock their doors at night. You are welcome to come inside, but the Doberman and St. Bernard might have some words for you. I lock my doors but not out of safety. I've got a number of extended family members who would happily just let themselves in as if it's their house and make themselves a cup of tea while I sleep, etc. So they're locked for my sanity and privacy more than safety. What I wouldn't give to feel that secure, which is why feeling safe is less important than being safe. People who don't wear seatbelts feel safer than those who do. Doesn't mean they are. If somebody wants to come clear some of this shit out of here, I don't want to get in the way. Hey. I just forgot to lock the door when I came back in. Till the Dominican Republic launched the genocide of Haitians living on the two countries' frontiers. They identified Haitians from their own populace by making suspects pronounce parsley, or perejil in Spanish. If they could not do this, they were deemed Haitian and murdered. Similar to when Americans in the Pacific used passwords like Lollapalooza, a very hard word for a Japanese man to pronounce. That kind of test is known as a shibboleth. Interestingly, the Dominican Independence Day, February 27th for the curious, celebrates Dominican independence from Haiti, not from Spain. In a similar manner, the Danish resistance movement under World War II picked out German spies by having them pronounce the tongue twister Rod Grod Med flowed red porridge with cream. It is deemed impossible to learn perfectly by foreigners, even fellow Scandinavians. Till an outlaw isn't just any criminal. Instead, an outlaw is someone who has been sentenced to be outside of the law's protection. They don't have the right to a trial and anyone can kill or persecute them. In Norway, back in the days, they were dubbed fredløse or without peace. And anyone could kill them if they wanted. The German word is bird-free. A famous example was Martin Luther. In contrast to an in-law, who you're not allowed to kill. I think the US doesn't have outlaws in that manner, still use the term, just with a different meaning. So an outlaw is a condemned man wanted dead or alive? This helps contextual the word a lot, especially when I'm playing RDR2 LOL. Is this still a thing? I didn't find anything in the Wikipedia. Could I still be sentenced to outlaw? Literally just talked about this in class an hour ago. WTF. Till as a teenager, noted skeptic James Randi found a pastor who claimed he could read minds. After performing the same cold reading trick on the parishioners, the pastor's wife called police who then jailed him. My favorite one is when he busted one of those televangelists who claimed they could talk to God for their big sermons, and could say things about the audience members, and Randy said turns out God's frequency is 39.17 MHz. My favorite part of that article is how people called him a fraud, saying he really does have psychic abilities, but was trying to claim he does not. This wording is extremely confusing. You mean Randy was arrested, not the pastor. Penn used to do cold reads as part of the Vegas stage show. He sacrificed a lot to fight fraudsters. Penn Teller apparently supported him in the years before his death when ongoing legal battles left him destitute. Op should be jailed for this poorly written subject title. Till of La Nueva Jerusalén, a community of fundamentalist Catholic doomsday cultists that run a tiny Mexican town with fear. They ban members from having sex with exceptions, modern tech, and are in conflict with the town's non-believers. In 2012, they gained notoriety for destroying a public school. God, that's horrifying. They ban members from having sex with T. Funny how, in every cult on earth, this one exception is that the leader gets to have sex with all the teenage girls. Why do we never get religions that embrace progress, use acceptance instead of bans fear, and encourage their members to have a healthy view of sexuality? Why is that just not a thing? No sex, since they don't want to have kids with the pending like a self-solving problem, and the other townspeople will be able to reclaim their home eventually. Our title goer, Christian terrorists. Cult's gonna cult. I never have sex with exceptions anyway. Till of the hippie trail, when thousands of Western hippies traveled the Silk Road by bus, car, van, motorcycle, or hitchhiking, mingling with locals in Afghanistan in the entire Silk Road in the 1960s-70s, officially ending in 1979 when the Afghanistan war started. A buddy of mine did that back in the 70s. He caught tuberculosis while smoking opium with the locals in Afghanistan. That reminds me that I need to ask him about more of his travel stories. I am blown away by the photos of this period and the fact that I've never heard of it. The Trail, or one entrance of it, started in Istanbul at the legendary pudding shop, which is still there, BTW. This scene is probably the backdrop for Midnight Express, but don't take my word for it. I couldn't finish watching that movie. Usually in a fried out combi. My mom did this, toured on a magic bus with no brakes. Till that Machu Picchu, the Incan citadel in Peru, is not ancient. It's only about 600 years old, the same age as many European Renaissance buildings. This reminds me about when I learned that when the Inca Empire was founded, Oxford College, UK, was already 300 years old. Didn't teach any classes in calculus, as it hadn't been invented discovered? Yet, this is stuff Big Inca doesn't want you to know. Machu Picchu is famous because of its architecture, how it was constructed, its location, and its discovery, not so much for its age. And yet all the others have somehow kept managing to build it before me. It's not like new though. Till that South Koreans can be punished for using cannabis in a county where it's legal upon return to South Korea. It was the same way in South Dakota until recently. They called it possession by ingestion. The same applies with gambling. If they find out you gambled while out of the country, you'll be in some legal trouble. Same thing for Japanese. Essentially, Japanese law applies to Japanese citizens wherever they are in the world, is my understanding. No direct flights to Amsterdam, and better go Frankfurt and catch the train. The stigma against marijuana here is borderline fanatical. I told my Korean wife that when I'm older I'm planning on smoking again, and she lost her shit. Same thing when I brought it up among some middle-aged Koreans. Still that basketball star Magic Johnson claims that he invented the high five while at college in the 1970s. Needs to get in line. Dusty Baker invented that shit in 1208 BC. He would make outrageous claims like he invented the high five. Sometimes, he would accuse airballs of being lazy. The sort of general malaise that only the genius possess and the insane lament. My grandfather invented the Cobb salad and the phrase blank from hell, Elaine. I once told a woman that I coined the phrase, pardon my French. George Costanza. Dusty Baker. Wrong. It was George Santos. He would often accuse chestnuts of being lazy, and claim he invented the question mark. Till Magic Johnson's an idiot. Hi. Klaus Heisler. My father would womanize, he would drink. He would make outrageous claims like he invented the question mark. I'm just gonna leave this here. Dusty Baker. Still that every Australian is entitled to a portrait of the reigning monarch paid for by the government. After the Queen died, there was a rush to get the last portraits of her before the Charles stock came in. Back in the early aughts, every Aussie voted in a national plebiscite whether they wanted universal rabbit fencing or a lifetime supply of Queen Mum glamour shots. Oh man, I didn't know this. I missed out on my Liz portrait all these years. I remember they used to have one hanging up in the governor's office in prisoner cell block H. Paid by the government. So, you still pay for it. Canadians can, too. As a Brit, I want a portrait. There's a black and white divide between the former British colonies that absolutely despise the monarchy and those that still like them. I wish Charles III a long reign full of embarrassing gaffes and regular fuck-ups. Seems like that's what it takes to wake people up from their silly fantasies about the monarchy. Till that in 1626, Peter Minuit is credited with purchasing Manhattan Island from Native Americans for just 60 Dutch guilders. equivalent to $1,143 in today's US dollars. They get you in the door with a bargain on Manhattan, and then they get you by driving up the prices on Brooklyn, Queens, and the island is in the discount bin. Given Dutch history would have been worse. A sum that, compounded at 4 annually, is around Manhattan's real estate value today. Put on your top hat, white feather, and tails. How much would $1,143 invested then be worth today? 3 mice are sitting in a bar in a pretty rough neighborhood late at night trying to impress each other about how tough they are. 2 mice are chewing on a film roll. One says, "I liked the book better." "So nice to see one I've never seen here before." "Even better, I never heard this one IRL before, either." It's amazing what went on behind the scenes on the set of Tom and Jerry. We will never know all of the disturbing and nefarious things that went down. I will never believe Tom took his own ink. It doesn't add up. The third one goes, "Haha, I'm the bus driver." What animal species is actually the most evil? Flies. It's the way they rub their hands together. I know they're plotting something diabolical, but I haven't figured it out yet. I'm surprised I haven't heard anything about chimpanzees considering how brutally violent and cruel they're known for being. I'm friends with a few guys who work at the zoo and I asked them once which animals were the biggest assholes. In unison, they all answered the sun bears. Bedbugs. Little fuckers won't die. Ever heard of the Shrike? There has been a study to find what the most homicidal mammal is. The meerkat one, since 1 in 5 meerkats will be violently murdered by another meerkat. That's a significantly higher homicide rate than humans have. Meerkats will also have a really complex hierarchical society organized by mobs that kill each other sometimes for virtually no reason. Basically, Einstein was full of shit when he said that no mouse would ever construct a mousetrap. What company are you surprised still exists in 2023? Whoever is printing that Yellow Pages book and throwing it on my driveway. BlackBerry. Apparently they developed car software and cybersecurity products now. AOL. The car wash near my house that's down a dirt road. It's got to be a front for something. Radio Shack. I know they're almost gone, but honestly I expected them to be out of business over a decade ago, especially given all the former employee accounts of how poorly the average store was run. The Pinkerton Detective Agency. They're currently part of a larger security conglomerate, but these guys built their reputation on breaking strikes and generally being corporate thugs for hire 100 years ago or more. Family Video still has a location in my hometown, although they put up a sign about 6 months ago saying they sell CBD, so I think the end is near. What do you call the sexuality where you are attracted to men and women, but they're not attracted to you? Single. That's called being single. Fugly. Bisexual. I lold. You jerk. Here's your upvote. Andrew Tate. No more asexual? ALBEMIASAELF. It's called ugly broke ass. Why repost this the same day? You. What is the worst aggression that you could actually want for everyone and not yourself? Lone liners. Doc talk copy pasta. Lame. Body odor. Me. Celine Dion. It was supposed to be loneliness. What is the saddest song you've ever heard? The night my mama died, my dad sang Elvis Can't Help Falling in Love to her in the back seat of the car on the way to the ER. She died of fully metastatized pancreatic cancer 18 days after diagnosis. Nutshell. Alice in Chains. Bonnie Raitt. I Can't Make You Love Me. When She Loved Me from Toy Story 2. Little Talk. Spy of Monsters and husband of 35 years was just diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer, and that song just fills me with so much dread. My 10-year-old sang Remember Me from Coco at my father's funeral. The end of that movie was already an onion cutter, but now Sugar Skulls make me ugly cry. The Night We Met Lord Huron. Willie Nelson's rendition of Just Breathe. I Will Follow You Into the Dark by Death Cab for Cutie. Really can't listen to it without full-on sobbing. What isn't the flex many people think it is? Boasting about how much something they're wearing costs even though you know they can afford it. Working yourself to the point of having absolutely no time for yourself. Work ethic is good, strong work ethic is great. Living to work is not great. Your lack of sleep. You're doing significant damage to your brain and self. Wearing designer with huge logos. Working 80 hours a week, getting little to no sleep. Being proud about being brutally honest when they're just true. Not taking sick days. Declaring yourself an alpha male. I guess that means something in your little subculture, but to the rest of us, that's just head-scratchingly silly. All their exes are crazy. I only got 4 hours of sleep. Oh yeah, well I got 2. Replying to someone on Twitter and mocking them for having no followers. How many times they went to jail and how big their car payments are. What's a random fact you're just waiting to bust out? Magnolia trees are so old they evolved before bees and are pollinated by beetles. If the earth is a grain of sand, the sun is a golf ball for relative size. The grain of sand Earth is 4 meters away from the golf ball sun. The next nearest star from the golf ball sun is 750 miles away. Gives you an idea of the scale of the universe. Ancient Egyptians didn't call themselves Egyptian, that's a later name, they called themselves Kemet, which in their tongue means black land. Black was seen as a good color in Egypt because it represents the Nile's fertile soil. Axolotls are actually a species of salamander stuck in a juvenile form due to a lack of thyroid-stimulating hormone. Their bodies don't produce it, but if given it as a drug or the precursors in a food source, they'll grow up into salamanders. Vikings would give kittens to newlywed couples as a part of the household. A man takes his 7-year-old daughter to visit a castle. If I were the king, I would have a slide installed. Only saves the stairs down though. Your kid's going places, and by places, I mean at least the next floor up. Smart 7-year-old, I'm sure you're proud of her. Aw, smart and funny kid you got there, smiley face, cute. But she will never understand a dad joke. I'm the author of the Grokking courses for tech interviews, coding and system design. AMA, outside of maybe the phone companies, how often have you seen any relevance between the algorithm problems on a technical interview and the actual day-to-day job being interviewed? If it's not often, what would be a better method for companies to interview prospective developers? Is a working knowledge of Hindlines Works a prerequisite? Hey, I actually just bought your course yesterday. I had an interview and I was hit with a hard lead code question. Is that even fair? Should I be expected to answer a question like that? Hi Arslan. Thank you for this project. Do you have any books in progress? How do you feel about Mars? Your course helps hundreds of job-seeking engineers pretty much every day. Is there any sort of sentiment or nuance in the guide that you would want your readers, the next generation of developers, to understand going into their next role with the principles which you've laid out? Indiana Jones had an impressive travel budget for being on a teacher's salary. He was a tenured PhD professor at Marshall. Brother-in-law is a tenured PhD professor of Shakespearean English at a U.S. university, and every couple of years he goes on sabbatical to England for research on the universities, all the things that happen in the Indiana Jones movies. His traveling on his university's dime is the most realistic part. Grants from the university or other sources, because Indy had alternate forms of funding including government money, family money, and a little bit of black market artifact sales. Undoubtedly, he was a tenured professor at Marshall College, and the university funded his expeditions for artifacts for the state's branch of the National Museum. I just rewatched Lost Ark the other night. They do state that the American military is paying for his travel from the States to Cairo. People complain about high prices, but the real problem is low wages. Both of these are the real problem. This planet has, or rather had, a problem, which was this: most of the people living on it were unhappy for pretty much of the time. Many solutions were suggested for this problem, but most of these were largely concerned with the movements of small green pieces of paper, which is odd because on the whole it wasn't the small green pieces of paper that were unhappy. You know what? In team sports, you can do well by scoring and also by preventing the other team from scoring. Amounts to the same thing. This shower thought shows a complete lack of understanding of inflation. This isn't a shower thought. It's not even objectively true, it's an opinion. The problem is prices raising quickly, but exacerbated by wages not raising fast. Value of savings over time to illustrate the difference. Reddit: what is your favorite way to say you need to use the bathroom? My grandpa always said he was gonna go check the plumbing. Young kid me thought he really was. Gotta go see a man about a horse. Excuse me, I must facilitate the facilities. I'll be right back. I gotta go pee poo. Gotta go drop a propa ploppa. Gotta honk out a dirt snake. I gotta take the Browns to the Super Bowl. At work? Excuse me while I use the restroom. At home? Get the fuck out of my way or I'll shit on both of us, I swear to God. 2-inch grip on a 4-inch log and I'm losing the battle. Gotta drop the kids off at the pool. I need to use the bathroom. I gotta pay. I'm past the end of my third trimester. I need to give birth to it now. Something's knocking at my back door. I'll be back. Till US President Lyndon Johnson installed a shower in the White House that had the intensity of a firehouse and got so hot it regularly set off the fire alarms. One of Nixon's first acts as president was to have the shower torn out. As a firefighter, there is zero chance it had the pressure of a fire hose. Zero. The commando aid it was used for hosing down elephants in the circus. Was this another thing to try and best foreign dignitaries with? Bet you can't stand in my boiling fire hose shower for 5 minutes? Wanna bet I can? Watch this commie. The more I hear about Johnson, the more I believe that his entire decision-making process boiled down to him asking himself, would an asshole do this? And if the answer was yes, then he would do it. Whatever you think about his politics or his personal morality, Johnson was certainly one of the most unique characters ever to occupy the White House. I, too, enjoy water pressure. Till about Darius McCollum, a man who was arrested 32 times for impersonating a transit worker. He commandeered hundreds of buses and subway trains over the course of 30 years. staying on route and schedule without being paid. He attended union meetings, even though he wasn't a member. Pretty sure him staying on schedule is what got him caught. No actual MTA worker would just hire the guy at that point. Although he never damaged any property or hurt anyone, he has spent 23 years in maximum security prison for transit-related security prison. Was that really necessary? I understand the severity of committing transit-related crimes, especially after 9/11, but this man has Asperger's syndrome. The American justice system couldn't demonstrate some leniency based on that? You kept making all the stops? Well, people kept ringing the bell. Till all the gold ever mined on Earth came from meteorites, not from the Earth's core. All gold was created in a supernova, regardless of how it arrived here. Like DoorDash for jewelry. I believe dinosaurs coveted gold so much they began to hoard all the gold and bury it so no one else could have it, thus leading to all of the gold being buried and no one having it. If we aren't careful, we'll soon end up the way of the dinosaurs and nuke ourselves out of existence over riches. All gold on and in Earth came from meteors. The Earth's core and mantle just hold gold that arrived earlier. Well, I don't know about that, but I do know that all the gold in California is in a bank in the middle of Beverly Hills in somebody else's name. Gold is created when two neutron stars collide. That's how rare it is. There could be some ounce of truth with this. There is one person out there who has traveled further than any human ever, and they are likely a living astronaut. A year in low Earth orbit on the ISS racks up 157,680,000 miles. Russian Gennady Podolka holds the record for the most total time in space at 878.48 days. The International Space Station orbits the Earth every 93 minutes with a circumference of 42,650 kilometers, each s 580 million kilometer traveled. I think the person with the most miles is more likely to be a commercial airplane pilot. It would be kind of cool to see airlines put out top 10 lists. I know some people would want to be listed as John Doe or Jane Doe. Still, it's probably a pilot. In terms of distance, that person is Jim Lovell. He shares that distinction with his two Apollo 13 crewmates Jack Swigert and Fred Hayes, who have both sadly passed away now. What cheese is made backwards? That's no good. I think shredded cheese should be banned in America. Great again. Brilliant. Cheese. Why joke op? Our angry upvote. This was a crossword clue. Colby. Simon, that joke stinks. I like dairy jokes. SEHC. What bean is made with cheese and I like it. What disappeared from the world and no one noticed? Ronald McDonald? At some point he was just gone. Purchasing software. Now, it is more frequently a subscription model. Late night food options. A lot of places started closing early during COVID and never went back. All day McDonald's breakfast. Privacy. 3D television. Lightning bugs. I live in the South USA, and as a kid they were everywhere. Now when I'm outside during the summer, I don't see them at all. Movie trailers with that voiceover guy. In a world where DVD CD drives in laptops, the inquiry into the Panama Papers, 24/7 grocery stores, interior car armrests used to have these small 2x1 metal ashtrays with a lid you could flip up and down to fidget with on car rides. They were on airplanes too, and inevitably someone would stick a wad of gum inside. Toys in cereal boxes. What do you call a doctor that treats stupid people? Stupediatrician. A stupid califragilistus XBL doctor. A boob board certified idiotologist. I just call him doc. A dumb doc. I don't know, but he uses a hammer. Your doctor. A moroncologist. Drive. How do you know my doctor? Oh, someone who is Donald Trump as a patient. Cardiologist. I don't know, but my urologist is Dr. P. Stein. Idiot. Maryland. Did you get this one at the dermatologist's office? My doctor. What do you call a GP that graduated bottom of his class? Doctor. A doctor. A smoker. A verb? A Hudas Kutajiba intaker? A man of many aromas? A cousin to Cheech and Chong? I see the door. Playful face. Playful face. Sneering face. Zany face. A teacher. Psychologists. What is a fact that you only recently learned, but should have known for ages? In Super Mario Bros. On the NES, you can continue where you lost your last life by pressing a start on the main screen. Octopus predate dinosaurs. Human skin doesn't have the ability to sense water. We can only tell that something is wet because of temperature or wind, but we don't have the proper sensors for it. Water itself. That's why sensory deprivation tanks with room temperature or barely warm water work so well, and why you can tell if clothing left out to dry is damp or if it's just I read that somewhere. It was a huge mindfuck. Now I think about it constantly. Until yesterday I thought blackened chicken was just that, chicken that had been grilled the fuck out. It's a delicious blend of spices. Oxen are just employed cows, not a whole separate species of bovine. What is the world's greatest unsolved mystery? The Indus script, also known as the Harappan script, produced by the Indus Valley Civilization. It was a huge civilization in northern India and Pakistan around 3300–1300 BC. It spanned more area than any other civilization at the time. Despite many attempts, the script has not yet been deciphered, but efforts are ongoing. Bronze Age collapse. Who was so vain that thought that song was about them and was correct? Would be pretty cool to know who Jack the Ripper was, or who killed the Black Dahlia, or whether the guy writing letters to the police as the Zodiac Killer was actually the one committing the murders. I'm putting my money on ancient aliens being the answer to all three. Aside from the big, existential questions, I'd like to know the whole story of D.B. Cooper. Where Shelley miscaviages. No one knows what Jesus was doing in the middle of his life. What is the worst scenario for the 2024 U.S. election? Biden dies weeks before the election. Trump wins but has a heart attack on live television during his acceptance speech, and SVP is Kanye West. The earth instantly becomes completely stationary. Biden wins close electoral college, with a couple right-leaning swing states making the difference in his favor. Biden dies during the transition period, and those swing states try to change their electors rather than make Harris the president. Chaos ensues, etc. I win somehow. All I know is that I have a bad feeling about this. Whatever ends up happening will be the worst case, I'm sure. This entire post is nightmare fuel. George Santos? What slowly went away in the past decade that no one noticed? 3D logo designs have pretty much vanished. I don't know the exact time frame, but basically every single major company's logo has become minimalist over a very short period of time. Car antennas. You know what I mean. Product reviews that is not an affiliate link. Good Google search results. House phones. Magazine shops. The ones that sold obscure magazines that you can't get at Walmart or the grocery store or even a big box bookstore. I suppose people have noticed, but no one has their phone with a ringtone anymore. It's mostly silent or for some people still on vibrate. Decent quality clothes at affordable prices. Public pay telephones. Sucks for those in trouble that don't have a cell phone with battery life. And it also sucks for Superman when he wants to make a quick clothing change. What's a Karen's pronouns? This joke is unacceptable. I demand to speak to a manager. She doesn't know. She keeps asking, do you know who I am? This made me lol. I've been ill all day, and this was a good one. This one genuinely made me go hee hee. This joke is too good for our dad jokes. Mom for liberty. Me. She must have keeps asking, do you know who I am? Huh. I figured it was me. Mine. SHD starter. Just I. Nah. A Karen wouldn't dare to be called a them. A Karen's favorite number 911. Sue Denham is one of my favorite pseudonyms to use. Aye, sir. Manager, Carolyn Layton. I thought it was my mine. Entitled bitch. Size an English teacher. Trump's fault. Good one. I was about to give the R on Clay Hook answer, then I saw that this was a dad joke. Her Sue. Did you make this up? It's totally hilarious. Good joke. I've never heard it before. Manager. You can tell if someone is computer literate if they have McAfee installed on their system. Support nightmare. I've rarely had viruses that were half as annoying as some of the antivirus apps out there. Also, I've rarely had a virus or malware. Is it just me, or when I delete McAfee it just gets re-downloaded when I update my computer? This post made me almost snort liquid through my nose. Bravo. Windows Defender plus the occasional Malwarebytes scan is all I need. That would point to illiteracy. You can tell if someone is into computers if they have more stories about John McAfee than McAfee antivirus. Rest in peace, you crazy old bastard. That's the virus in your computer. Any antivirus that constantly runs in the background is awful. The only thing I'm willing to give somebody slack for is Windows Defender if they're on Windows. You pay 30 of your income just to stay out of prison. You pay 30 of your income to pay for all the logistics and infrastructure that you need to live in a functional society. You don't go to prison. You pay more money. Funny how that works. Just? I don't think so. Don't use any public infrastructure then? The primary reason I pay my taxes is because the programs they fund have saved my. They don't throw you in jail the moment you don't pay your taxes. They actually give a ton of leeway on that. You don't know what taxes are for. And to other people in prison. Also have roads, education, research grants, public transport facilities, new laws and regulations, etc. etc. Kind of gross that we don't wash the inside of our shoes. Isn't that what socks are for? Speak for yourself, nasty. Lysol works when needed. Hold up, you all don't do this? I throw M in the laundry as a load and that seems to do the trick. Socks doing the heavy lifting. Do you not wear clean socks? I'm more bothered by shoes worn indoors. Don't feel bad by the comments. I also don't wash the insane of my tea. Overthink germs. It will drive you crazy. Put them in the washing machine. I'll chalk it up to cultural differences so I won't be mean. You're correct, Hop. That's why you should start washing the inside of your shoes too, not as often as the outside. but do it once in a while. I wash the insoles and blast the inside of the shoes with antibacterial Febreze. I mean, I exclusively only wear shoes with socks and wear slippers inside so that my socks are clean whenever I put on a shoe, so socks just solve the problem.